Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Matters That Go. Today I want to talk about how shock comedy, music or performance should be done. There is actually a formula to doing shock as your entertainment art form, because a lot of people who try shock, value kind of entertainment, they usually burn themselves out too quick. I'm talking about someone like, Miley Cyrus, for instance. She did too much of the shock too quickly. Now, it started off good. You go from the Hannah Montana, and then you got this thing in the middle where she's in a cage and with wings. She should have slowly moved from that into what she's doing now. See, when you go from that, nothing, and then you got that song where she's like humping the bed and twerking and stuff, that's still a good progression. The shock is spread out over time, you're able to milk it, you're able to make a lot of money off it. But then she goes and does the VMA thing, which pretty much meant that without nudity she was not going to be able to shock anyone anymore. So what does she do in the next video? Instead of becoming more and more seductive with the clothing and with references and stuff like that, she just burnt it out too quick. You get to Wrecking Ball, and it's only been a couple of months, working in the shock value thing into her entertainment stylings, and she burnt it out. I mean, she swang naked on a Wrecking Ball. The only way she can do shock now is if she flashes in public or masturbates in a video or something like that. She burnt it out too quick, or the people who organised her, commercial success, PR and people like that, they didn't draw it out. You want it to be released slowly. You want to draw every last cent you can get from it. Someone like Alice Cooper did it very well, because when you do shock comedy, a lot of people think it's just shock them and that's it. With all shock entertainment, I mean, not just comedy, but comedy's the worst offender. I'll get to that. But a lot of the time people just go, it's just the shock. And that's what the problem with Miley Cyrus's manufactured shock thing was. It was just, there wasn't anything else there apart from the shock. I mean, We Can't Stop, okay, yeah, she references coke and ecstasy. It just kind of did it and that's it. Whereas someone like Alice Cooper really understood how to shock an audience and keep them entertained. A lot of people think with shock entertainment you can just get rid of the story, you can get rid of the actual intelligence behind the form of entertainment, but that's not the case. Like any other style, like even with shock comedy, someone like Andrew Dice Clay just does it horrendously. He'd be the Miley Cyrus of the comedic side of things when it comes to using shock. He just did it too quickly, too much, and also just thought the shock was the comedy. Like, he'd be like, Jack and Jill went up the hill and Jill came down with 250. It's shocking for its time, but it's just, you haven't put thought into it. Whereas someone like Alice Cooper, he really put thought into it. There was themes, there was reoccurring things, there was the good songs, they're catchy, they stay in your head, and the story. It wasn't just him dancing around the stage with a pretend, naked corpse. There was a story in the song that explained why it was there. You need the setup, like any form of entertainment, even with love songs. If they just burst in with a love song and it's just from the start, too lovey-dovey, it just ruins it. You have to build an atmosphere, and that's how shock entertainment works. But someone like, another example of someone who just doesn't do shock would probably be a lot of people on the internet. A lot of ranters who use shock value as their main thing. What offensive thing can I say? Without backing it up with your opinion or facts or just something that with any sort of substance, it's just the shock. And there's nothing else there. That's why a lot of these people fail, because they think they can just get up and go fuck, 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 cunt, 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 everyone's a dickhead, without any explanation. What I and other good ranters try to do, not saying I'm a good ranter, but I've assimilated their style by explaining my opinions and explaining why the language is used. There's a lot of explanation that goes into making the shock. A lot of people have trouble defending gangster rap because there is no real defense for the misogynist and even at times racist and just overly violent tendencies of gangster rap in particular, because they never really set it up. They just say, I'm a thug, I'm from the streets, fuck you, you're gonna die. And that's why it's really hard to defend. Whereas something like Nick Cave, which is a little bit more poetic, or even some of Bob Dylan's songs, they draw the shock out. They give you the explanation and here's the shocking bit. You know, that's how it's supposed to work. People get shock comedy, music and all this completely twisted. And a lot of people just end up looking really stupid. For example, GG Allin. He's a great example of when you take shock to a limit where it's shocking, but it's no longer entertainment shocking. He gets up on stage and he's naked. It's shocking, still entertaining, especially because he's not gifted in the crotch region. So it's still entertaining. He hits himself in the head with the mic and breaks glasses on himself. Still entertaining. Then he starts beating the shit out of people in the crowd. Shocking, not really entertaining. He shits on the ground, eats it and throws it at people. Just shocking. See what I mean? There's a line you got to draw, and there also has to be an explanation behind it. For GG Allin, the reason why it worked for his fans was the whole thing was he's fucking crazy. Look, he's the real rock and roll star. Even his juvenile style of shock entertainment had an explanation. I do this to bring the fear back in rock and roll. It has an explanation. With Miley Cyrus, there's no setup. It's just she's Hannah Montana and now she's a whore. And there was no, the closest thing you can get is she grew up. But normally when you grow up, you become more mature, so the explanation fades away and it becomes just the shock value. That's why a lot of people look down on it and get pissed off at it. Because it's not making an attempt to say anything, to do anything, it's just shocking. And every explanation she's brought up for it has been lame. When you say, I'm being shocking to get an audience, it's like, well, duh. But why? You know, you need an explanation behind why you're using this way. Oh, because, you know, pop has lost this and that. Pop hasn't lost its shock. Lady Gaga has been shocking people for years. Why? Because she wanted to bring back the spectacle to pop. She wanted to bring back the fashion elements. Totally understandable. It has an explanation. And like any form of entertainment, no matter what genre, no matter what style you're doing, it has to have an explanation behind the reason why you do or say the things you do. I say these things because I'm being honest. That is the explanation of this channel. It's a man being honest with the camera. Completely honest, completely uncensored. For example, my sex video, if you go watch that rant, it's very honest. There's an explanation behind the shocking things I say or do in my videos. And you have to do that with everything. It can't just happen. That's what my main problem with a lot of this new music is. Like a lot of songs, they just pick a theme and they do it. And that's it. And they usually do it in a cheesy way and rip off other people's lines. And that's what makes it so bad. There's no explanation, there's no reason behind the songs, the motivation's lost. Like, we're gonna party, and that's it. Why are you going to party? Because shit. And that's how you define it. That's how you gotta use shock. You got to define why you're doing the shocking things. And entertainment is a good one, but you have to explain why you're using that form to entertain people. On my other channel, On Snare Productions, I use a very loose, unscripted, very disorganized style of making my videos. It's completely disorganized. Take my Videos Nobody Asked For series, for example. Completely disorganized. Why? Because I think when you put things together in a disorganized way and don't give people time to react to what they're seeing, it all comes at once and you get a big laugh at the end with just one punchline. It can be not the best, but because it's built up over many little punchlines, it's kind of like a spring. Bing! Laughter. That's my explanation behind why I do it. Even I have explanations. But some people just think they can get up there and just go, I'm going to say offensive things and it's going to be awesome. It's not. If it's unmotivated or explained, it's just shocking shit. And that's the worst kind of shit. Shit music, shockingly shit music. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, that's my opinions on how to do shock and other forms of far out entertainment. That has been Mad as a Goat. Time for a freeze frame with a few notes.